prevent and remove barriers. And I said to the policy committee, well, you know, I have never been to the accessibility advisory committee meetings. I've never been asked to provide input. So I wasn't sure if that was still, is that something that's happened in the past? Should it still be ongoing? And Mary suggested that I come to the meeting. So I put that question to you.
Go ahead, Mary.
Yeah, thank you. And the reason, the main reason was that if really we're legislated to do what Heather just finished saying, and I can never remember, Sandy, can you ever remember anybody from the library coming to an accessibility meeting?
No.
So I think first and foremost, if Heather or a delegate from the staff of the library would be interested, whatever Heather is the CEO, I think that should be standard now, so that both the library board, the accessibility committee will be working together to do the protocol that is mandated. So if everybody agrees with that, I would like to put a motion forward that each meeting, and that doesn't necessarily mean that every meeting Heather has to be here, but that she would be part of the working group to get this whole protocol done.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So Heather, is there a current protocol now, or it's something that you're developing for your plan?
There isn't a protocol now. It just came about because we were reviewing the policy, and I said, you know, we either remove that or we make it actually happen. Now we do, I do keep track of, you know, we have the 2018 accessibility plan in our policy binder. We read that. I know that there is the accessible Brighton document from 2021 to 2025. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, you know, we participate in Accessibility Week, that sort of thing, but no protocols in terms of our partnership with the municipality. Mm-hmm. And I'm happy to attend meetings and provide input and be a part of the working group. I think it's very important. I think, you know, the library is a hub, a gathering place. It's in the municipal building. So I believe that input is important from the library, and it's important for us to hear information and input from the working group and from outside of the working group as well, for sure.
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense, to develop that working group and for us to advise to that group. I think it seems natural that we would help with that. Mary?
Well, we do have, thank goodness, we have Tom, who represents staff and from the municipality. We hardly ever have anybody that comes from Public Works. So at least Tom can always inform Public Works what we're working on at the moment. So I think this is really necessary that we do this, and the more input we have, the better we will be able to present to council the accessibility needs. Mm-hmm. So I just refer this to Tom. Can we put this motion through today, or do you think you need to go back and talk to the clerk?
Well, I'm kind of trying to think as we're talking here. I think there's two ways we could approach it. One would be if the committee felt it prudent, we could do like a motion to recommend that council amend the terms of reference to include a member of the public library, such as the CEO.
Right.
As a member of the committee. like a staff rep, almost like a secondary staff rep, basically from the library. So that's one approach I would think, if you guys want to go that route. And then the second one would be, it could just be more informal, where we have a regular update sort of from the library, you know, a certain number of times a year. Like there's that sort of approach too, right? Where it doesn't have to be written in terms of reference. So that's what I'm kind of thinking as you guys are talking.
Mary?
I think your first suggestion would be best, because whether we put it in when we do the motion, now the recommendation, I should say, so then it can be explained why it's important that we be partners with the library. And so once these minutes go to council, council will be able to understand why it should be part of the terms of reference. What do you think about that?
Well, and I guess I might be thinking more the other end, like whether it's one of our committee members goes to the library meetings to help consult that way, whether it's a working group as needed. Does it need to be so formalized as changing our terms of reference? Sandy?
I agree with Mary, because we've had trouble in the past where we've thought that we were going to get representation from the different departments, and it's not a compulsory thing. There's no date set in stone, and so we don't get the representation. And there's nothing against the library whatsoever, but past experience has shown us that if we don't have it written in stone that we are a combined unit or something like that,
Yeah, Tom?
Yeah, I would add to that too, that obviously the library is a huge service provider of the municipal building. The facility itself is what I'm kind of thinking along those lines. Like, I mean, I think Heather, you and I talked last year, and the amount of foot traffic through your doors in a normal time is probably like 4 or 5 times that of the municipal offices, right?
Yeah.
So I seem to tend to agree with that. That's a good option, as long as given that we're not overtaxing you, Heather, like to, you know what I mean? Like, but if you're comfortable with that, and if the committee is comfortable with that, what I can do is I can read this motion, and then you guys can vote on it, basically, right?
Yep.
So if you want to go that route.
Can I just add something?
Yeah, go ahead, Heather.
I noticed that in the 2018 accessibility plan, the library at 35 Alice and the Codrington Branch Library are both listed in there with certain things that need to be done. And I don't know how that list came to be. I don't know if the accessibility committee meets as a group, goes to the physical location, makes recommendations. But for that reason, it would make sense for me or somebody from the library to represent the committee. And also this bathroom in the lobby at 35 Alice, because it's supposed to be a shared lobby, but of course the pandemic has municipal customers going around to the other side to the ramp. So basically it's a library bathroom, and we get all the questions about it. We have the remote for the table. I'm not even sure if the table works at this point. So that would be helpful to be involved in that too.
Yep.
And I don't think it would be too taxing. I can certainly make time for accessibility. It's so important.
Yeah, no, I think we'd love to have you. So I don't think that's an issue. I don't think we ourselves know what happened with some of the lists. There was staff who made up that list for that plan, but then we haven't been able to get a clear answer as to whether those things are completed or not. Yeah. Yes, and I don't think we've gotten an update on the bathroom either. So maybe that could be something, Tom, that you could put on your list to follow up with Public Works to sort of say, yeah.
I rush it.
The last we heard, I think it needed to be fixed.
Mm.
Sorry,
Um,
what were you saying, Sandy?
Oh, it's just stupid. I said, why rush it? It's only been a couple of years.
Tom?
Yeah, I was just going to add to that point, actually, the last item on the agenda today, the 2021-2022 outlook, that was something I wanted to actually discuss is the work plan stuff that stems from the accessibility plan.
Okay.
So if we can start hopefully, you know, getting a little bit more defined on what those things are, the priorities that we want to look at.
Okay.
So
it sounds like we should put a motion forward.
Yeah, so I've got that the committee recommend council amend the accessibility advisory committee terms of reference to add a staff representative from the library. Does that read correct for you guys?
Perfect, and I would move that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay. We've got first and seconders, all in favor? Okay, so it's passed. So
Welcome aboard, Heather.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Nice to have a new opinion on what's going on with accessibility.
Thank you. So what does that mean in terms of, am I a voting member, or does that happen once council approves the motion, or?
I
think, well, I'll let Tom speak. He might know protocol better than me.
I was going to say, I don't think staff representatives can be voting members.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it'd be more of an information type role, right? Like updates, and you and I can touch base like before the meetings, like if you have something you want on the agenda, that type of thing.
Sure, fair enough. And my other question is, do we ever have snacks?
Yeah, we always do, except for this stupid COVID.
It's traditional. We started it, what, Mary, 7 years ago, 8 years ago?
Probably almost 20 years ago, I think.
Yes, in person, we usually do have snacks.
Great, thank you.
So, yeah,
It's all
well,
about
welcome.
snacks.
Yeah, the snacks are good. All right. And yes, I guess you're welcome to stay on and keep listening then, Heather.
I will, absolutely. I'm just wondering if people could do a quick introduction.
Okay.
So know who people are. That'd be great.
Sure.
Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and I'm Nicole. I'm chair of the committee. I think we've met before a few times, but I've been on the committee. Oh gosh, it's been a while. I'd say a good 8 years, maybe now, 8 or 9 years that I've been on the committee. I'm not on the committee as a person with a disability myself, but I work with kids in the area with special needs. So I bring sort of my work toolbox to this position that I hold here. So, yeah, Linda, do you want to go next?
Sure. My name's Linda Granger. I'm a person with a disability, and I've been on the committee, the last 8 years, and then I was away from town for a couple of years, and I was on the committee before that. So I'm not sure how many years. It's nice to have somebody new on the committee for your input, and mostly we all get along very well. I enjoy the library in that my son brings me often magazines from the library. I don't often go myself, especially during COVID, but before that I was there, and I thought the new renovation was great for the library. And not to go back on this subject that the other members will know, you got the right height of toilet for your disabled toilet in the library, and it's the one I use rather than the one in the hall, and I'm very pleased about that because it's been something that needed to be done for quite a while. So thank you for your great library.
Great, thank you. That's great feedback. I appreciate that.
I'm Sandy Fawcett Kovacs. Got a few handicaps. I've lived in Brighton for 10 and a half years, maybe 11 years, and I've been on the committee for, I think, 9, Mary, then. Just watched it come along. Slow process. Colleen or Mary?
Is Colleen or me?
Go ahead, Mary.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I guess I've been on most of the time since 2003, so I'm the senior citizen anyways. So I quite embrace the fact that I've been working very diligently towards making things accessible, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's always happened. So welcome, Heather, and I know you have a strong voice, and I know Tom is wonderful to get things back to the people that need to, know what we're actually doing. And we'll talk more about our accessibility week probably later in the agenda. So kudos to everybody. And thank you.
Thanks, Mary. I'm just wondering, are you as much of a troublemaker here as you are with the library board meetings?
My middle name is Trouble. Mary Trouble Tadman, MTT.
There's a difference between advocate and trouble. I see more towards advocate.
Thank you, Nicole.
All right, Colleen, do you want to go next?
Hi, my name is Colleen, and I've been on the committee for about 8 years now. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah,
I
we
think
hear
it's
you.
great that Heather will be joining us from the library. That's all.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Colleen. My only other thought is, I'm thinking next steps with you, Heather. Like, are we thinking about having an actual working group just to work on the library? Or is it better maybe for you to the next break meeting, bring forward what you guys have for the library with respect to accessibility, and then we can make a work plan from there?
I think so.
I think your second option.
Yeah, me too.
Mary. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. While we're doing introductions, I was just thinking to myself, okay, next steps. What are we going to do next? So yeah, we can do that at our next meeting. Okay. So then we'll move forward to 6.1, which is Accessibility Awareness Project Review. So hopefully everyone was able to see the videos that we were able to put together. I think I didn't really see too much feedback other than people sharing the videos and lots of views on them. But I didn't really hear anything back specific if people liked or didn't like certain things of that. So hopefully you guys were able to all see them. Did anyone hear any feedback or anything about them? Sorry, Colleen, were you saying something?
No, I just said that I didn't hear anything or didn't
Okay.
even see anything on any other format pages.
Well, I think it was the Facebook page was the one that it was sent out on. So, Mary, did you have your hand up?
Yeah, I did. And I have heard several people have told me, because they're not, people out in the municipality aren't necessarily in tune with what the accessibility committee does. For the most part, when you get to that stage in your life when it's important to you, then you might be somewhat aware. But even that, a lot of people don't know who to reach out to. So I had people tell me they so enjoyed it. It was so professional. And I really think, Nicole, you did an excellent job coming to council and making council more aware of what this committee does. And I think that just opened more people's eyes. So it's too bad we were on Zoom, because we sometimes when we're on Zoom, we're preaching to the choir, but at least I think all of council, some staff are that much more aware. And there's been, you brought out a lot of good things through those videos that we are working on that have made things more accessible. But we have to get our message out more, and I don't know how we do that, but certainly, especially for those people who really need all the things that we're working towards. So kudos to you, Nicole. Kudos to you, Tom. You did a terrific job working with Ralph. Ralph did an amazing job, even supplying music to it. It was wonderful. And I don't even think the people at Public Works really realized until they saw the video just how much we've been pushing and got things done, such as Sandy. I mean, she was like a dog with a bone with that mat, those Mobimats. And they probably don't even know that they're at Presqu'île. Never mind that it was our group that pushed that. Well, mostly Sandy, because she wouldn't stop until we got it. The same with the painting of all the yellow downtown. You know, most people take that for granted that you would automatically do that, but it hadn't been done in years. So I won't go on anymore, but definitely I think more and more people are becoming aware. And I think with Heather dealing with so many patrons at the library, it's just another way that even if we have some kind of a pamphlet, that if they come to one of the staff and say, you know, I'm really having trouble with such and such and such, at least they have something that Heather or one of the staff can give to them and say, this is who you need to get in contact with if this is, because there's more than just mobility. That, as we all know, it's hearing, sight, so many things. And so I think this is a great step.
I like the fact that with the videos, I think we were able to reach more people, right? Versus having an information session at King Edward. You might get people who need anything in those areas or are interested. Whereas this way, they were such short little videos that I think we were able to catch a bit more people just watching them for interesting.
Absolutely.
Linda, you had your hand up.
Yes, I have a little list of what I made when I was watching the videos. Nicole, I think you did very well as the narrator. Very clear speech and all that. So, you know, that was great for anybody with even partial hearing loss. I went down the list. So mainly, and working in the community is important for all of us. Quinte Access, I've got great drivers. If you've had a ride with Quinte Access, you know how helpful they can be. And that was clear on the video. Memorial Park had great pictures. Our streets look really great in those pictures. Anybody would be glad to live in Brighton and look at the town through those pictures, because they were really done well. And I believe that's Ralph, so there you go. And our parks look great. It was nice to show a variety of parks. Jim takes, I guess, can take credit for that, keeping the parks good. The Mobimats look clear. Now I know Sandy's going to talk about the Mobimats, but in the picture, I didn't realize that the Mobimats were blue. And the clerk's office and community care, everything that you said, everything that was on the agenda for those were, I think, eye-opening for most people in Brighton, and we should be pleased with ourselves that we live here. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, I love living in Brighton, but you know, if anybody sees those, we may have a lot of people coming to live here. We never know.
Mhm.
I just wanted to say those points because that's what occurred to me while I was watching them. So I think it was a very well done project, and like you say, getting it out there for more people than maybe we've had at our meeting days. And in these times, it's good. I don't have anyone else's opinion because I'm not getting out other than once a week just to get a breath of fresh air around town.
Mhm.
So I think they were very informative, and if I can include myself in that, I think we did as accessibility did a great job doing that. Thank you.
Thanks, Linda. Tom, I think I saw your hand up.
Yeah, I just sort of echoing what everyone else is saying, but I do want to say a huge thank you to you, Nicole, for picking up the slack. Because as the committee knows, I was kind of going through my own accessibility issue at the time when we were really in the thick of the rolling this Accessibility Week project out, and Nicole jumped right in there and was amazing. So huge thank you to Nicole for that. And I also just wanted to sort of echo what everyone's saying. I really noticed, to me, it's like, I think that people, it opens the thinking for people about what accessibility can mean, right? Because they're sort of understanding there's these different standards, and oh yeah, accessibility is about that too, and accessibility is about that as well, right? And so the more people start thinking about that in the community, it just starts to snowball, right? So I think it was an awesome project.
Yeah, no, I think it went really well. I loved the original idea, and I think it was Karen and Sandy and Mary that worked together initially to come up with the idea of the videos. So yeah, thank you to everyone for your work on it. And I wanted to ask about a way to do a thank you for Brighton Digital Archives and Ralph Dion, because especially Ralph, he was a details man. I'm not always the details person, but I think I got daily emails from him about, well, have you thought about this? Or what about this? Or I've made up some music, and what do you think about this? And it was pretty fabulous. And even just their whole team, to have someone being able to read over the scripts for language and doing any checks on it. And then I did record it over at Ralph's in his garage outside. So just to follow all the protocols. But yeah, I didn't know if, myself going to a Brighton Digital Archives meeting as a delegation to say a thank you was enough, or whether it's something I do know they get equipment. So I didn't know whether it was something about, I don't know if the committee's even allowed to send over a gift card for Tim Hortons for their next in-person meeting to provide snacks, or if it was a gift card to someone so they could buy equipment. I don't know. So I want to throw that as ideas out there to provide a thank you to them. Mary, you got your finger up.
Yeah, I think he deserves a thanks, but Ralph is a very modest man, and he doesn't like to be center of attention. But Catherine, who's on the digital archives, I don't know if you know her, but she was telling me, we only saw the videos, we didn't see the hours and hours and hours of editing and the photography, and also that his wife participated in this too. So Catherine and I both would love to put his name in for Citizens of the Year, but the problem with that is that you have to agree to be nominated, and he won't probably let his name stand. Could we do something, I don't know, something like flowers or something sent to their house? Because he spends so much time, his wife helps him at home. Would that be part of a nice gesture? I don't know. I'm just throwing it out there. The cards to Tim's. I don't know whether we can we spend money on something like this, Tom, out of our budget, or should we be doing that? And I certainly would not mind throwing money into whatever, but I think we can use it for, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the budget right now just to see what line item this could fall under. I think,
But even a gift basket with certain things from around town that from
Nice
the little.
idea, Colleen, yeah.
yeah, I mean, you guys have a budget. There's a few areas where you could make this fall under. I mean, the training and education, like that was, you know, sort of outreach, right? Like the Accessibility Awareness Week project was, you know, for education to the community. It could sort of fall under that. You could put it under advertising expense as well, because it's also advertising for accessibility and the community. And then it could also be a miscellaneous expense that you just
Right.
you know. I don't
I'd
think
like to make a motion then, if I can, Nicole, that I really like Colleen's idea. And I think we could do both because we've got quite a bit of money left in our budget, haven't we?
Mhm.
And if everybody
Even
else in the,
in-person things. So we didn't even do any catering and we didn't even do coffee or anything, right? So
right. And I believe that they deserve much more. They wouldn't take pay. So let's at least show our gratitude with a lovely basket and some nice flowers. I'm sure his wife will enjoy them more than he will, but that's okay. Because, and a nice card. And if, Nicole, if you're willing to come sometime to the digital archive, because I sit on that also, I think that would be great too.
yeah, no, I'd like to come in and say thank you because they did do a lot of work on that and we really appreciated it.
And we kind of dumped everything because, you know, everything had to be rushed because they had so many other projects to do too. So he took all his waking hours to put this together, and yeah, without,
And
you know,
and you'd say, oh, it looks great. Thank you. That day looks great. And then the next day you get an email. All right, I tweaked it a little bit. I wanted to change this and I wanted to add a few pictures. So then he'd go out and take more pictures on top of the pictures that I had taken. So
yeah.
no,
And Catherine Stott worked along with him, but she said she honestly did not put in the hours that Ralph did. So, but she needs to be thanked also.
So let's put that motion forward that we'll do a thank you to Ralph. I still like the idea of doing a gift card to the committee as well. Is that okay? Like a Tim Hortons card?
Yeah, no problem.
Yes.
And then I can get that together and pass that on.
I'd like to make the motion. We do that.
Okay.
Go ahead, Linda. That's good.
Oh, Tom's got his hand up.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, do you want to be specific about what it is? So I guess we could say the committee show its gratitude to Ralph De Jong and the BDA with a value, whatever that is, of flowers or whatever, and a gift card value. I feel like we probably should, right? Like, or we can say up to a certain amount. You can say it that way too, because I know it'd be hard to define exactly how much maybe a flower basket or a gift basket is going to be.
Mary?
Nobody is going to argue about the amount on council. I'm absolutely sure of that. And so let's go ahead. And I would say at least 150 to cover a nice basket flowers. And if you think more, I would definitely support that. I don't know what a nice basket would cost now. Does anybody? I haven't sent one in a while.
I think if we put that amount down, I think that should be sufficient.
And I don't think we necessarily, Tom, have to, I can speak to it when it comes, the minutes come to council. I don't think we have to specify what we spent it on, other than saying a gift, an appreciation gift.
Okay.
What do you
I
think?
think that's, yeah, I mean, just because it's a budget thing, I feel like it would be nice to put maybe a maximum amount on it, just
Yes,
in
I
this
do
motion.
too.
Okay. And to make sense to put under miscellaneous
Yeah, I think so.
for me.
Yeah.
So then, yeah, I don't mind getting that. And then do I just get the receipts to you, Tom? Is that how it works? Or do you have to purchase it?
That
I
goes
can
through
actually,
Linda.
I can actually order it.
Okay.
So if you guys, maybe Nicole, you and I can communicate in the next few days or whatever, and if you
Okay.
if you want, I could just basically, if you guys pick out what you want, I'll take care of getting it.
Okay.
Perfect.
So we had Linda put in the motion. Do we have anyone to second it?
I will.
Oh, Colleen came out clear for that one.
Good
All in
girl,
favor?
Colleen.
All in favor for that?
Oh,
All right. Okay, so that's carried. So yes, thank you for that. I think it went really well. I really liked the videos. Yeah, hopefully there's something that we can still refer people to if they're interested. And I know Community Care has a copy, Community Access has a copy, and Community Living, so they can use those videos themselves as well. Mary?
When you ask if you did you get any feedback, I should have let you know my last meeting at Quinny Access. They were thrilled with it too.
Okay,
So
good. Yeah.
And all the committee had looked at them all. So it's out there all over the place. Maybe they haven't just got back to accessibility, but
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. All right. We can move on then if there's nothing else on that topic. We will move on to 7 under reports. So 7.1 is committee vacancy update. So I'll let Tom speak to that one.
Yep. Yeah, so basically I just wanted to let everyone know that we received 3 applications for the vacancy on the committee. We've been talking about sort of going through the process over the course of the summer so that the selected new member would start a term in September.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you guys?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Just, I mean, you know, I imagine we'll take a month off at some point during the summer from meetings, and hopefully by September, who knows, we might even be able to start meeting in person again. So
Right.
that would be a good time to bring somebody aboard, I think.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
That's basically it. The only other thing I just thought, you know, it's council's decision who they choose. Basically, we present them with the report and all the applications, and in closed session, and council makes the decision.
Mm-hmm.
But I thought maybe it might be good to have an idea from you guys as part of the report of what we think we're lacking, or I mean, you know, something maybe attributes or the type of sort of individual that would really fill out the group.
Mm-hmm.
Just as like something to consider when they're reading the application, right? So I don't know, that's, I just thought I'd raise that if you guys want to sort of shoot out some characteristics or something.
Mary's got her finger up.
Yeah, I think it's an excellent idea, Tom. And you have those applications?
Yep.
Or the clerk's office has those? Could someone like Nicole, who's the chair, and one other person be able to as a group, we can say who we think, who the type of person that would represent a certain area that you're talking about, Tom. But see, maybe I won't know anybody and nobody else on council will know. And so I've been in those decisions a lot of times, and sometimes we don't have a clue who the people are. So you take the ones got the prettiest cover on their resume, and you don't really know enough about them. So if there's is there some way that, Tom, maybe you and Nicole, after we come up with what we see that we're lacking, that you could sort of give us some input? Or do you think that's a step that we shouldn't take because it's council decision?
Yeah, like I'd be hesitant to, I don't think we would be allowed to share the applications at all with, even with Nicole as the chair, unfortunately. It's just the way the whole terms of reference for all committees of council is set up. So, but that's why I was thinking if you guys had some sort of guidelines of what we, or what you guys as the committee feel that you are looking for, then that at least kind of like sparks when council's reading the applications, they can say, oh, well, there's 2 or 3 of those things right there. There's the right person.
I think Sandy had her hand up.
Yeah. I really miss Karen. She stood out because she was a real doer, had great ideas, and just jumped right in and didn't mind working with other people. I miss her work style. So if we could look at something like that.
Mary?
Previous to you, Nicole, I think it was, and Sandy would remember, it was Liz that was our chair, right?
Yeah.
And she was legally blind. So she brought to the table lots of things where she was having problems. That's one area that maybe we're not represented here now. We don't have anybody that is hearing impaired or any number of things in that area. But we also, I think there's a lot of young people struggling with mental illness. Do we want to include someone that's younger that can bring the different problems that they have, or are able to reach out to those that do? Heather, I definitely think would probably have input right now into what she sees and hears in the library, because you have a lot of young people coming in and out too. So have you any ideas, Heather? I'm sorry, Nicole, that should be you asking Heather.
I don't have any ideas right off the top of my head, but for sure mental health, mental wellness is top priority. And yeah, someone, I mean, could you get someone younger than me on the committee? I don't know.
Oh.
I was looking at you and Tom.
Just babies.
But a younger voice and mental illness or mental health for sure.
And I think that's where, because the priority for me, at least the most important one to me, is making sure we have that breadth of a voice of someone who has need for accommodations, because that's essentially what the committee is about, in that they have that different eye to be able to look at issues, whether it's a physical accessibility issue or an access issue, or it's a mental health issue or service delivery issue, something within the municipality. So I think the first preface would be having that eye towards disability. At the same time, it'd be really nice. Like, I remember when I started, I believe there was an engineer on the committee as well. So someone who was able to look at plans, look at site plans with a bit of a different eye than some other people on the committee. So someone with a unique skill set, I think, would be also a nice addition to the committee. Whether it's, yeah, like I said, someone like an engineer who could look at those things. But I do like the mental health aspect as well, because I don't think that's something that we really often characterize in our discussions. I think the videos were good to show that we had one video on the physical accessibility piece, but there's a lot more to accessibility than just physical accessibility.
Yes.
Not that we want to leave all the physical accessibility stuff to just, you know, one or two committee members, but I think we want to make sure we're capturing a whole bunch of different things. Does that help you, Tom?
Yeah, absolutely. That's even just those pieces right there, I think provide a bit of a framework. I mean, I haven't even read all of the details in all of the applications yet. So we might be covered here. We might not, right? There's a chance that none of the applications have, these people don't have any of these sort of backgrounds. But at least it provides just a little bit of a framework to council, I think. So that's great.
Okay. Mary?
The other way that we could possibly engage younger people is maybe, and I know that they're very busy at the first of the year, the principals of each one of the schools and the high school, but maybe, or somebody, the guidance person, I don't know what they call these people anymore, they have so many new titles, but if somebody would come as a delegation and then we could, they could bring the needs they see. So they wouldn't necessarily have to sit on the committee all the time, but we'd be more aware. Is that a part of a solution if we don't get who we think we should?
Well, that could be something we can discuss as you know, future projects or something like that.
Right, yeah.
I don't know if that's, yeah, but I guess it depends on who is approved for the committee, so.
Right.
Linda, you've got your hand up there.
I was just thinking about the schools. I know they're busy at the beginning, but don't they usually have a school has a student council? At least one time we could invite someone from the student council, if the school is okay with that, of course, to one of our meetings to get their input. That would be a way of reaching young people, you know, rather than just grabbing them off the street and getting their opinion on because there is children in, because you know, in the public school, but I don't know how many disabled students with a disability in the high schools. So it would be an idea to get a representative that way to talk to younger people. Our meetings are during school hours, so you know, it's a bit difficult, but we could at least invite them as a representative, and maybe even a teacher could come with them. I don't know how those things work either. I know, well, and maybe,
we can put that towards, you know, other project.
Yeah. I know we used to have, occasionally we used to have the mayor come and meet with us when we were having our meetings down in the
Public
office
work.
On
Public work.
At Public Works.
Right.
When Mark was our mayor, and we haven't had that in the last few years. That's somebody that's not young like a high school student, but younger, definitely younger than I am. So that's just a thought that way.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Is that enough information for you, Tom, then, for that one?
Thank you.
All right. So then we can move on to 7.2, and that's the sidewalk work update. So I know I had sort of said back to Tom when we were talking about agenda items for today, sort of saying, you know what, we don't even know what sidewalks are supposed to be fixed this year. So maybe Tom could go and ask for what the actual plan was for sidewalks.
Yeah, I did reach out I know there was I think there was a continuation of the contract from last year. Is that right, Mary?
Right. That's right, Tom.
Yeah, so I didn't get a list of specific sidewalks. Basically so I'm sorry, I don't have much of an update for this piece right now. But I just thought maybe what we could do is I will try to get a definitive list for our next meeting of what work is happening, but also maybe during this discussion, maybe we can make a couple notes of problem areas that I could pass back.
So add new areas or new sidewalks or a new list of sidewalks that need to be repaired?
Yeah, I think it would be good to maybe pass along any info that you guys have of like specific spots, and they might already be on their list of next up, but at least we can give them the priorities that that the committee thinks need to be looked at.
Okay, because the area between CIBC and the post office hasn't been touched yet.
Yeah.
Well, and I think we've discussed that one before in that
Many times.
it's not municipal property.
No.
Oh, it isn't.
But I'm not sure. But again, I don't know if it's CIBC property or post office property. But it'd be really nice to pitch to either of them to say, you know what, there's enabling accessibility fund right now that even as a company you could apply to fund that sidewalk revitalization between that area, because I think that's the one we hear the most about, people saying the sidewalk's really uneven there, I've tripped there, things like that. But it's not our property, so it's a little challenging how we can promote that getting fixed when it's not our spot.
Okay, and the other one I've been hearing about is Thompson Crescent, which is in the new subdivision up along Singleton and Hope area, back in there.
And what about that area?
There's the sidewalks are lifting.
Okay.
Sorry, Colleen, what was the name of that
Thompson Crescent.
crescent? Okay.
And then I don't know how far they're doing over by Harbor Street. Some of those areas are still needing work done to them as well.
Is Harbor the one that goes up and down and up and down and up and down?
I believe
Yes.
so, yes.
Yeah.
Hello.
Linda,
Some of the
you've got your hand up.
some of the sidewalks, the metal piece from the drainage are sliding, and you don't know if they're going to slide anymore. All those metal pieces should be checked that they're on where they should be, because bolts have come out of them. That's mostly along Harbor Street.
Okay.
But there is also on Harbor Street, I think about house 38. I'm not quite sure on that, or 40, 42. There's a sidewalk that looks like a V, like this. So when you're coming along, I think it's a tripping hazard for anybody walking there. I'm on my scooter, so I even debate if to go over it. So I get off at the driveway before it, go on the road, and then come back on the driveway after it. Because I'm not sure that concrete there is going to hold the weight of me and my machine. But I think also beyond me, it's a tripping one. And they have to, it's been last summer and I believe the summer before, so at least 2 years, 2 summers when they are looking to help fix things. There is one along Harbor Street where I think when we had the problem with big trucks parking over the sidewalk is, the metal piece is wowed down into the water, where the water comes down. So it goes along and then goes down, up, down, because there's been some kind of weight on it to bend it down, because it's all metal, it's all steel as far as I understand. So that's, they really need to have a good look at Harbor Street. Thank you.
Okay, we'll add that to the list. Mary?
Maybe you can help me, Tom. I'm not quite sure of the title for the person now who's looking after infrastructure. I think his name is Mike something or other. Never met the man, but he's to anything in it, like our buildings, our sidewalks, anything. What is his name? You know, and I
Mike
know
Fraser.
we have that person, but why, instead of us preaching to each other about all the problems, it's never going to get fixed that way. Why don't we invite that person to the next accessibility meeting and come prepared to say, because every one of these things that we're talking about are safety issues, and we should be on top of safety issues, especially where people are Linda should not have to go out on the road when she's riding her scooter along Harbor Street. People should not be falling, because in the end, the lawsuit comes to the municipality and you and I end up paying for neglect. So things like the post office and bank, this has been going on for years. Both those places should be notified, and maybe we have to do like they do in Toronto and maybe phone somebody like the Star and say, look what, you know, the corporations are neglecting. Because how long have we talked about this, Sandy? You've been the longest of anybody here now, but I've been on a long, and I fell years ago there because when it freezes, you just slip and fall. So I'm done with this saying, well, it's so-and-so's, it's not our property. It's our responsibility as an accessibility committee to bring it forward, but it is staff's responsibility to get the damn job done. Yeah, I am trouble sometimes, and I don't mind being trouble when people are falling and people are putting themselves in harm's way. Sandy should not be going out in the road with her scooter when in that area, because it's dangerous out on the road there. So there's a lot of, you know, we brought up a few, but there's a lot of places. And that has been brought up about the steel grates or whatever they want to call them. They're flopping all over the town. They should be bolted down properly. What if in the end, some child fell in because you can just about lift some of them now. So that's the kind of thing that needs to be done immediately. And so if we can get whatever this guy's name is in position to come, and I know, Tom, you'll be able to do that, or I should be able to do it. I guess I could go to the website and find out, or actually I could go on our chart for who is on staff. But
I think you're talking about Mike Fraser, right?
That's the guy, yeah, Mike Fraser. And what's his title?
He's manager of operations.
which I heard the other night, his job is to make sure like the arena's leaking the roof, whatever.
Facilities,
So-
basically, stuff like that, right?
So we've fought so hard to get somebody from Public Works, and we don't ever get that, hardly ever. So let's go this route.
Well, is that
And
the appropriate
prepare him
person?
ahead of time to tell him that we want to talk about safety issues about sidewalks for now.
Is that the appropriate person, Tom?
What I'll do is I will just pick out 3 possible people that it might fall under their responsibilities. I'm not sure. I know he's facilities. I have seen him walking the sidewalks and looking at jobs that were happening for the sidewalks. So he may have something to do with that part of it too. But yeah, what I'll do is, to Mary's point, I'll basically try to get an actual presentation from whoever is responsible for sidewalks. So I'll provide them the list that we've just talked about of key areas. And then hopefully they can provide us an update of what is sort of on the docket for work coming up, maybe, and then maybe address some of these areas in the same report. I think we should be able to pull that off for the next meeting. I can't see why not.
See, it's always better to have somebody like Tom who's diplomatic. Thank you, Tom, for keeping me on the straight and narrow.
Well, and Tom, if you would prefer for it to come from me, I don't mind being part of that email to them, just to say there's been some concerns brought up. Can you please come to the committee and speak about these? Like, if it's more effective to come from me, that's fine as well.
Well, maybe what I'll do is I'll CC you on the email.
Mhm.
And then if they have any like specific questions, that might be helpful to have you on there, because
Yep.
again, I'm not from the area. So even when you guys are saying street, sometimes I'm like, I don't know where that is, right?
Yeah.
So that could be helpful for sure.
Yep. Can you add on that list, the corner of Lola's? It was fixed last year. See, the actual sidewalk is great, but the actual transition from the sidewalk to the the paved asphalt when you're crossing that road is really,
Very
really bumpy.
rough.
Like it's quite a big bump. So I don't know if that can be put on as that actual transition from the sidewalk to the asphalt needs to be repaired. And then my only thought about CIBC and post office, is it worth myself writing a letter on behalf of the committee to both the post office and CIBC to say we've had significant concerns about the sidewalk? We wanted to pass them on to you. Here, look at enabling accessibility fund if you want to look at funding for it. Like, would that be okay
Yes, definitely.
to do? Yeah. Is that the best way to do it, or is that best to come from staff?
They haven't done it.
Yeah, I think it coming from you on behalf of the committee is great. And if you're writing a letter, you could add my contact information on behalf of the like if they want to discuss with a member of the municipality or something like that.
Okay.
You know.
Okay, I'll do up a draft and I can send it around and you can let me know what you think.
Awesome.
Okay. Is there any other areas people know of that they want to add to the sidewalk list?
Anything that I have seen has been marked up, so it's on their list for repair.
Mm-hmm. But are there any areas that anyone's saying, you know what, I know it's marked up, but I think this area is a priority? That anyone can think of? Mary?
Yeah, I noticed a crossing, so where the pillars are from the old bank at the corner of number 2 highway in Prince Edward Street, where the crossing guard stands, and going across there to Rexall, there's a bad area in there that I don't know how anybody that's gotta, well, you can navigate it, but it's tricky. If you had a walker, you would have to be careful, or it might tip you right on into the traffic. I don't know if Sandy's been in that, around that way lately, but there's quite a bump there too if you're on a scooter.
Yes.
If you have any kind of vision problem, you need to have a look at it. I can't quite explain it, but there's an area there that really needs to be leveled out.
Okay. That's asphalt versus concrete, right? Like in the asphalt?
I think it is, but that would be more for somebody that knows an awful lot more about building roads and sidewalks than I do.
Okay. Okay, Linda?
Yeah, last year when they did a lot of sidewalks, the company that did it did mostly a very good idea, putting in those metal pieces and a very smooth access to the road.
Mm-hmm.
But Mary's very right about that corner, because you come up to it and you see all the different levels, and you got to kind of choose where to go. On my scooter even. I sort of forgotten about it. Thank you, Mary, for reminding me. That's all I want to say.
All right. Well, we'll leave that list with you, Tom, and thank you for following up with your staff members about that one. Okay. So
I know Ron Anderson put up a post regarding people mentioning different sidewalks and that. I don't know if he received anything new that we don't already have on our list. I'm sure he would have brought it up at any of the council meetings, but.
I can send an email to Ron and see if he has any feedback to add to this list.
Okay. And then 7.3, we have sort of 2021, 2022 outlook. Tom, do you want to speak to that one?
Yeah, for sure. So my idea with this item here was just to kind of start thinking ahead, because, you know, if we're going to take a break in the summer at all and that kind of thing, just to, you know, start thinking of what next year is going to be looking like, basically. And to give you an update on the key projects that I'll be working on under my sort of accessibility hat at the municipality. So a big one is we have to submit our biannual accessibility compliance report to the ministry in 2021. It's due by the end of the year, but I'm going to start it this summer just so I can start going through and, you know, checking all the boxes and seeing where we are non-compliant or compliant kind of thing, and start following up. You basically want to submit a fully compliant report, but sometimes that's not possible. So you just kind of, you do your best there. So that's something I'm going to be working on this over the course of the summer. Another one is just continuation of the website accessibility compliance project. So right now, just to give you an update on that, we were council approved a report that we wrote to purchase actual software that will allow staff to mitigate accessibility issues in documents before they go to the website, or any document period, really, because even like emailing a document or even printable as well, there's still rules for information and communication standard that we have to follow. So the goal with this I guess tool, you would call it, is that all documents will be accessible, fully universally accessible going forward. And we're going to be starting that training this summer as well. So, and then we'll start working back towards the past documents that are on our website and all that, fixing them up, making sure everything's in an accessible format for people. So that's another big project, and it's ongoing for the remainder of this year. Another one that we talked about at the last meeting was the development review procedure. So any new developments that the site plans hopefully will start coming to the committee as part of an actual protocol. So that's something, again, I'm going to be starting to work on this summer, and I'll be updating you guys often on that. So hopefully we'll get some, a rough outline of a protocol that we can add, and it's going to be about building those relationships with the right people, right staff members. I think the planning department is going to play a key role in this, and likely public works in some fashion as well. But basically, so we can get to that point where, the community mailboxes, all those key items that we've been talking about over the last year or so, that they're looked at the beginning of the process instead of after the fact, basically. Again, just something to kind of turn your head to, like if we do end up taking a break, it's, if you have any ideas, email me, write them down. We can talk about it at the next meeting, and we'll just keep all this stuff rolling ahead. Another big one was, and I kind of alluded to it at the beginning, was to start compiling a list that we can make a prioritized list, is what I'm thinking, of the key accessibility concerns that the committee feels. So I think what that's going to entail would be, we'll review previous lists that were connected to the past plans that we've had. And I think there's a few different lists kind of kicking around. So I'm hoping that maybe at the next meeting, if you guys are good with this, that could be a big chunk of the meeting where we actually, I'll put those lists into the agenda package so that you guys can review them in advance. And then during the meeting, we'll just start going through and be like, okay, is that done? Has that been done? Check it off. Or is there a further item that needs to be addressed from that, and so on and so forth. So just start getting that, a prioritized list. I think that's the priority is the key, so that we can really be like, this is number one priority that we're going to push for over the next year and a half, kind of thing, right?
Well, and that will especially help when we do budget as well, right? When we're making recommendations to budget, then we can at least have those items in there. So I think that's a great idea.
Yeah,
I think
exactly
one of the weaknesses with that plan, though, is if we don't have anyone from staff on here to say whether they're done or not, then we're pretty much just taking everything and putting it on a list without knowing what's done or not.
Yeah, I think some stuff, like it's going to have to start with us, and then it's that communication piece, right? So it's going to be, if we don't know, like some stuff you guys will know, right? Like there's probably sidewalk stuff on that list. There's probably various aspects that we already know maybe have been completed, or you guys would know better than me anyway. But then what we can't answer, then those are the pieces that start to go through to staff and say, hey, where are we at with this? And it's going to be an ongoing process. It's not going to be like a one and done kind of thing, right? It should be a living, breathing list, right? But at least we'll get that ball rolling in the right direction.
Okay.
And
Sandy, I see your hand up.
Yeah.
I just, Peter, who you mentioned earlier, Nicole, had a work chart that I followed really, really well. I just loved it. And we kept it up to date, and it was what you're doing, but it was like a big flow chart type thing where if we needed to include other people, that would be written in. And Linda was here too. We checked on it regularly to find out where we're at or where the other department is at, whether it's been accomplished, not accomplished, what date is it going to be done by? Because we found if we didn't put dates in, nobody lifted a finger to do anything. So
Right.
that was my way of learning. So I just, I don't even know if I have any of his left. I'll take a look. But yeah, that sounds fantastic.
I probably have a few because I think he had passed me his file, so it might actually be on my computer somewhere. So I'll see if I can find it.
Cool.
Save you some steps.
And then the last one that I had on my list was something that you guys have been talking about already today, which is the public education and outreach initiatives. I think it would be a good idea to similarly sort of prioritize maybe one or two maybe three, whatever, like you guys think, projects that we can try to tackle, similar to what we did with the video project this year, but maybe even choose a couple other ones. Like I wrote down, the talk about engaging someone from a school, like a student, that kind of idea too. Those are all ideas, and if we could maybe prioritize a few of those and put them on a list, and then we work towards those throughout the remainder of this term of the committee. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. But I just, like I said, I kind of wanted to just, make sure you guys know what I'm working on and give an idea of where I think it would be really good to focus our energies for the next little while.
No, I think that's great. That's a really good summary of sort of, looking ahead for the next little bit as to work tasks. Can anyone think of anything else that needs to be added to that or is missing, or Mary?
Thanks, Nicole. The one thing, and I'm trying to rack my brain to know that the lady that came as a delegation, Tom, and I think Heather would know her name too, because I don't think I was there at the time, but at some point you had someone come to talk to about dementia and Alzheimer's. Was that correct?
Yeah.
And then we had someone come to council who talked about it. And I've been so busy, Tom, I think you sent me the link to give it to the accessibility to Nicole. Do you still have the link for that? And could you please do me a favor and send it to Nicole? Because I think maybe not until September or whenever, it would be really prudent for us to have her come and speak, because that is a whole other area, as Heather knows, and Nicole, that brain injuries for one thing, but young people also suffer other ways. And there's lots of areas as accessibility that we should be addressing that. And she was a very good speaker and really opened people's eyes, I believe, to what we should be looking at to help not only people that are at the later stages of dementia or Alzheimer's, but for young people that are struggling with brain injuries and all other kinds of things. So maybe, Tom, if you don't mind sending that link to Nicole so she'll have it, and then maybe in September or whenever we can have her as a delegation. And sorry, Nicole and Tom, but Heather, is there anything you have to add to that? Because I know, I don't know why I wasn't at that meeting, but I know that you felt that it was really worthwhile to have that person there. So for the work that you do in the library, does anything come to mind that for younger people with different disabilities?
Thanks for bringing that up, Mary. I actually thought of that when you were talking about the younger crowd and getting a voice from them. It was really helpful for us to have the person come from the Alzheimer's Society and talk to us. And recently I participated in a pilot project for more dementia awareness training. And it really makes you stop and think that, yes, it can happen to younger people, and not necessarily just the people living with dementia, but their caregivers as well. Everything from signage that's too high to having a space that they walk into that's cluttered, or having, you know, I don't know, a black mat on the floor to somebody with a brain injury or dementia, that could look like a black hole and they're going to avoid it. So there is definitely lots of things to think about when it comes to that, for sure.
Well, and we can put it on our Outlook plan, Mary, and decide whether it's something as a committee to come and talk to us, or do we want to make it a broader education goal as well?
Thanks.
Okay. No, I really like that idea, Tom. I like that proactive thinking about planting those seeds to be working on that plan for this year and next. So no, I think that's good.
Absolutely.
All right. Is there anything else on that one then for 7.5?
Was it for me?
Okay. All right. If we go on the agenda, next was accessibility concerns from the public.
Wait a second.
Oh, yeah.
That,
Oh, Mobimats. Sorry.
10.4.
Yes, you added Mobimats on. Sorry, I missed that one.
Yes. I spoke to Rob immediately after our last meeting, and apparently June the 12th, they're bringing in, this was about the Mobimats because a quarter of the Mobimat is still covered with sand dunes, not just sand. And it's coming up higher as the weeks go by. So they have hired a backhoe to come in on June the 12th, supposedly, if everything goes all right, to clear off the mats, because the mats do go down beyond the sand dunes onto the beach, and right now that's totally covered. So that's the deadline, and I'll just keep checking on it.
Okay. Well, it's good though that it's on their work plan, that it was already something that they were planning to address. So that's a good thing.
I know, I was floored. He got back to me like
Yeah.
within a day. So I'll just keep on top of it, because it really is. It's you can't get to the beach now because it's like the Mobimat wasn't even there. So
I guess it was lucky when I went and took the picture for the video, because I just drove up and like, okay, I can get the sign and the Mobimat, everything all the same. So I just took a picture there and then I carried on.
I wondered, yeah, because it's just it's impassable right now. It's probably worse than the other paths because you've got the Mobimat and then you got 4 feet of sand. So I would have thought that May 24th weekend is when all this tourist stuff should be in place, like the picnic tables and the Mobimats and any tourist stuff that people are going to have done in their shops should be in place for May 24th weekend. That was the old thinking anyway. But now it's like, we're lucky if we get things done by the end of August. So,
well, hey, there's a plan for June 12th. So
I hope so.
That works.
Yeah. That's tomorrow.
That's tomorrow.
All right. Well, I've said the 12th to the 16th, I'm giving them a little bit of leeway. So, but it needs to be done.
Yeah. Okay, good. Well, thank you for that update.
Well, I just hope that they don't rip up the mats. We spent a lot of money. Everybody spent a lot of money on those mats. And I don't know if this was an experiment to leave them down over the winter this year, because last year they pulled them up and rolled them up and stored them. So I don't know if this is an experiment to see if it's cheaper to rent a truck and clear it off, or whether they're going to rip them to,
Yeah, I don't know.
Fought too hard to get them to have them damaged. Okay, let you know next time.
Okay, thanks. Okay, now we can move on to 8 for accessibility concerns from the public. Does anyone have any feedback about anything from the public?
Haven't been in touch with anybody.
Yeah. Don't see it.
I think we brought them all, Nicole, out throughout the meeting.
Okay, okay. So then if we move on, number 9 is correspondence. Has there been any correspondence from anything or anyone, Tom?
I don't have anything.
Okay. And so the next thing is our meeting date. So again, just thinking towards the second Friday of the month, do we want to meet in July or do we want to take a month off and then meet again in August? What's everyone's thoughts on that?
Doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me.
Mary?
It doesn't matter to me, but it really matters to me that we get on top while they're doing the sidewalks to make sure the ones that are now not up to par, that we should have our voice now. That would be the only reason I think right now that I would like to meet again. And since Tom is putting, you know, he's being very diplomatic, and I thank him for it, because I'm not always that good at that. But if we could at least get Mike Fraser to come to a meeting in July, because all of this was in the budget to get this done. So let's get it done right. Sorry. Hello, I'm in a meeting. I'll call you
I
back.
sounds good then, and we'll keep on a roll with this. I mean, I'm easy.
Yes.
So that's saying that I'm trying to think of what's best, whether it's to book a meeting then in July and maybe take August off, depending on whether they have an update for us on sidewalks or not.
That's, yeah.
Well, let's wait and see, Nicole. I'm sorry I jumped in here, but let's to be announced instead of setting a date right now until we see if Mike Fraser or whoever Tom is able to get and confirm to come. So we wouldn't necessarily have a date. We'll with whoever's coming to make sure they can attend. And of course, we don't want like someone like Heather. Are you good Friday mornings, or is that the only time you can come?
Friday mornings are good with me. Yeah.
Okay. So we'll leave it that we will meet in the summer for one time over the summer. Yeah. And then we'll send out that email once we know closer from feedback about the sidewalks to set that date.
Good.
I just know summer, yeah. My only hesitation to leave it without a date is summer's busy. So it's good to have it even penciled into our list instead of a week before, and then it's, oh no, I decided to go away that weekend, so I won't be here that Friday.
Who's
So that's my
going
only
away?
hesitation, that not putting it in for, I think it's the 9th of July.
Who's going away? We're all stuck inside the house.
I'm gonna move into my trailer in the driveway.
That's, yeah, trailer or day trips or something. Mary?
Well, why don't we go ahead and set it at that date? And if that's not going to be feasible, we can always move it to the next date, but get confirmation from everybody on the committee that they can actually attend that next, whatever date Tom is able to come up with. Is that better for you?
I like that idea better versus leaving it in limbo.
Okay.
So,
July.
okay. So let's put down for July 9th at 10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
And then if anything's different, we will let everybody know.
Good to go.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess then we just need someone to motion to adjourn the meeting. If
I
there's
didn't want
nothing
to.
else. Oh, I think Sandy beat you. Sandy got it first, and Mary
Oh,
second.
Sandy, you know I like doing that.
I know.
And everybody in favor for that one?
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you all very much for meeting today. I am sorry that I was a few minutes late. A little scattered initially, but I got there eventually.
Good.
Thanks
We
for coming,
understand.
everybody.
Oh, that's good.
See you July 9th or